Hello and welcome. In this video, I'll be speaking with you broadly about the phenomenon of love. I'll be talking with you about some of what I believe love is, how we live in a field of interdependence, the healing power of love, as well as a gloss on cosmic love. So if any of those topics interest you, come along for the ride. A few days ago, I was driving. I panned left and I saw a couple walking on the sidewalk with their dog, talking. Ordinary human couple stuff. I was only looking at them for a few seconds, but as I did, I had an intuition that there's something cosmic in human love. As is often said, the divine is love. There's an attractive force in the universe that brings subatomic particles into community with one another to become atoms, atoms together to become molecules, molecules together to become elements and compounds, and so on. I believe that the same love or attractive force that brought together the couple that I saw walking also brings together subatomic particles, atoms, and molecules to form larger wholes. So what happens when we tell someone or even something, I love you? Our heart opens and our relational energy reaches out to touch them. This happens in many different contexts. It can be a romantic relationship, a friendship, a work relationship, a parent-child relationship, and beyond. I want to give you a fun example. Just a couple of days ago, I was walking at the park hugging some trees. Over the last couple of years, I've taken to leaning against or hugging trees and feeling them. And as I feel them, I can sense the trees feeling me also. I can sense them reaching back out and embracing or hugging me energetically. The tree and I are co-regulating together. And if you could translate the energy that the tree and I are sharing into language, I believe it would be something like, I love you. We live in a field of interdependence. A closing refrain in Lakota and other North American indigenous peoples' prayers speaks to this beautifully and translates into all my relations or all my relatives. Some people might look at me in the park hugging trees and think it's a little odd, but from an indigenous worldview, I'm just communing with one of my kin. The language of this communion is love. It's a dance of heartful, energetic exchange that takes the form of intention, attention, eyes, arms, breath, branches, fur, leaves, and feathers. Life is fundamentally relational. Human beings have been learning and relearning this lesson for millennia. We know through multiple lines of evidence that in some regions, slow breeding megafauna, for instance, the mastodon in North America, were overhunted to extinction. I remember listening to Daniel Schmachtenberger, one of the luminaries of the meta-crisis. If you're not familiar with him, check him out. Hypothesize that as some people groups observed their impact on the environment, it caused them to develop consciously more relational ways of being. A phrase like all my relations or all my relatives is an example of cultures that understood their deep relationality with the environment around them and consciously embedded that in religious ritual and language. When we understand deep in our bones that all is kin it changes how we perceive the world. Let's take the tree as an example again. Now, when we look at the tree, it's not just an object that we can use for whatever we want. It's a subject. It's a person that deserves care and consideration. I remember watching a documentary on environmental justice where a corporation was coming in Canada and clear-cutting forest land, but the natives in the area barred the roadways. And I remember one of the women saying, "These are our brothers and our sisters." Right? She was saying, "These are our kin. You can't just cut them down. You can't just mass murder them." This is an example of this worldview in action, and I hope it touches you. But even more so, I hope it gives us all pause to reach deeply within ourselves and recognize that the impact that we're having on our environment as a global village, as a human species, doesn't just come from what we do, because what we do arises more deeply from how we're disposed towards the world, how we perceive the world. That we cultivated a way of seeing the world, a way of being, that a tree could just be something that we used instead of a brother, sister, or sibling that we care for and really consider before we cut it down and use it for something that we may need to. This relational worldview encourages us to approach the world with an open heart. If we start from a heartful connection that recognizes the fundamental personhood of all things, that recognizes everything's right to be here, then we can live in a way that at least move towards right relationship with them. I feel a deep sigh of relief as I say these things because I desperately want to live in cultures and in societies that are moving towards being in right relationship with all our relatives. I want to live in a way that as I walk my path, step by step, I'm saying I love you as I dance in and out of relationship with all that is. I want to take another moment and ground this further. I go to the grocery store every week, maybe every couple of weeks, and as I'm buying the food, which is going to nourish me, I get it in a fair bit of plastic packaging. I do my best to avoid it when I can, but it's everywhere. And I know that plastic is not something that the earth knows how to break down fully. It's toxic. This pains me deeply. And I know that I'm not going to overcome the issue of plastic packaging alone. I need scientists, I need policymakers, I need a community of people who are all attempting to move in that direction, not just to create a habitable biosphere, but because we care for ourselves and the biosphere, because we care for the trees and the streams, rivers, and oceans, because we care for all our kin. I believe that this fundamental worldview shift is essential to stop the cycle of creating the same problems that we're seeking to solve by these quick fix solutions, that the issue is coming from a deeper place, that we are cut off from being deeply connected, deeply embedded, understanding that we are part and parcel of this world that we live in. And we need to heal that rift in order to also heal the subsequent ways of operating and interacting with the planet that have created these environmental issues that we're facing today. Now I'm going to speak about the healing power of love, or what I'll call in this video, tender witness. When I was in my early 20s, I read a book called The Road Less Traveled by Scott Deepak, which covers topics in psychology, philosophy, and theology. I found the book walking around a huge Goodwill in Denver, Colorado, in the United States. And the book wasn't even on a shelf. It was on top of a shelf. I kind of reached up and grabbed it. You could say the book found me, and it had a profound impact on my life. While I was reading the book, a person came to me who in my life at that time represented wisdom. And they said to me, "Aaron, your love can heal people." It was one of the things that set me on my path into the mental health field to pursue a vocation as a merchant of hope and a steward of suffering. Recently, I was sitting with a client doing parts work with them. I asked them a question that I often ask my clients: how do you feel me in this moment? Or how do you feel me here? Do you feel me close, mid-range, far away? They responded to me, "I feel you close, and I can feel that you love me." And then they began to cry. I was both surprised and deeply touched by this interaction because I wasn't having a pronounced feeling of love for my client in that moment. I was simply tenderly with them, with what they were experiencing. That moment taught me that love doesn't need to be big. It can be quiet and mighty. It taught me that this tender witness is a facet of the healing power of love. Another experience earlier in my career taught me this in a different way. I was seeing a young man who came from a diversion program, which means that instead of charging him with something legally, they send him to counseling. Our second to last session finished, and I walked him out. And as I did, he looked back behind his shoulder and said to me, "I'm not done with you yet." I didn't know how to respond at the time, so I awkwardly laughed and told him to have a good evening. This client was coming to therapy because he was court-ordered. He was continuing to vape nicotine during our time together. He came to one of our sessions high on LSD. He was having trouble at school and at home. As I've reflected on our time together, I've come to understand that for an hour a week, this young man came and saw me and felt unconditionally accepted and warmly welcomed. It wasn't about a therapeutic model or technique that was going to change his life. It was about being tenderly with him right where he was. That's why he looked over his shoulder at me and said, "I'm not done with you yet." If I could go back now, I would stop for a moment and I would say to him, "I hear you. I'm going to miss you too. Have a good evening." In another way, what my client and I really wanted to say to each other was, "I love you." And then let the grief flow through our eyes as we sat on the verge of parting ways together. Now I'm going to speak about cosmic love, the big love, if you will. Love is as fundamental maybe even more fundamental to the universe as space, time, matter, and energy. From this perspective, it follows that love pervades the entirety of the cosmos. So, as we see subatomic particles coming together to form atoms, and atoms doing the same to become molecules, we see something of the fundamental love that underlies all of creation. Similarly, as we love one another in all the myriad relational configurations, contexts, and ways that life affords us, we are expressing and participating in this same universal love. This is what I experienced when I saw the couple walking down the street with their dog a few days ago. This seemingly ordinary moment was reflecting the cosmic love that gave birth to it and that was pervading it. Human beings inside and outside of the world's great religious and spiritual traditions have experienced this firsthand. It's possible for all of us to open into an experience that love and a deep contentedness both give rise to and pervade all of existence. Some people glimpse this using entheogens like psilocybin, LSD, DMT. Others may experience this communing with nature, out on a hike or camping. Still others aren't doing seemingly anything at all. Wouldn't you like to be one of them? And this experience dawns on them. This cosmic love is always available to all of us. Indeed, it is all of us. I encourage you to take a moment and feel that with me. Whether you have your eyes open, eyes at a soft gaze, or eyes closed, bring your attention into your heart space and set a soft intention to experience the love, the contentedness, the unity that pervades you and your experiential field. And whatever comes, just welcome that. Just be with that. This is an impersonal love because it is the love that gives rise to and holds all things. But it can also come with a personal quality. When it does, you'll find the divine whispering in your ear, "Darling, I love you." In conclusion, I love you is an opening of the heart. In small moments of interaction with others, our love and their love intermingle in a joyful, energetic dance. Love can show us the field of interdependence with all our relations out of which we come and of which we are a part. Love can bring a tender attention where we find ourselves simply with each other, just as we are. We might be surprised that this small but mighty gesture of simply being with heals us in profound ways. Love is such an essential part of our human lives because it is an inherent quality of the divine force that gives rise to all that is. If you stop for a moment, you may hear her whispering in your ear, "I love you, I love you, I love you. Darling, I love you." All right, folks, that wraps up the video for today. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like. If you're interested in more content like this, please consider subscribing. If you have any comments, questions, critiques, leave them in the comment section below. And I wrote an article on this, a really good one, I feel, actually. I really like this article. If you're so interested to read it, you can find that on Substack. And if you're interested to learn more about me and my services as a psycho-spiritual counselor, you will also find my website linked in the description below. Thanks so much for watching. You take good care, and I hope to see you next time.